by. Bowie doodly verse in the who's who of zilch. Filth, flan, blondie, stone soup, spoons and guilt. Voodoo and bills at the swirl of the surf of the riverbed of Sister Sledge, Wilson and Worms. Shipwreck, a lexicon, Mayday and more. Tough mudder, cummerbunds, vacate the floor. Brace space before there were steeples and stones, and the heads full of shit. Put their bleach in your bones, grease in your ghost, thorns in your paws, and the burden of your keep being mourned at the mall. It's a small world after you get asked for it all, and give it just a pick if you get wagged or walk. There's magic involved, dust sleight of hand. Some people who may need to pick you up by your pants, and some others that will try you, design you as dumb, but they're just buying you some time to decide who you love. I advise you to duck, cover your tape. Them strangers don't look nothing like the ones that you're waking. 100 who raise are just a dime to a Drake when you divide them by the tongue of all the fucks that you gave. Tough to obtain, but harder to earn. Excuse me, miss, I insist that you pardon my perm, cause I'm guarding for curves, guarded and dumb. The rocket ship pinata at the party of none. I don't know shit, but I know how to read. They're writing on the wall that nobody needs. And howling at the moon won't temper my teeth. And every shepherd worth his pepper, no one's better to breathe.
When I came back from the Cedarburg, I was recharged and renewed. And even though the time off hadn't fixed my knee problem, I now had the mental energy to deal with the problem head on and to take whatever frustration came with that and keep moving forward without losing enthusiasm. And this is such an important part of high performance. You need to feel good about where you're at and what your purpose is, because otherwise the sport is just going to wash all over you. Especially in a sport like decathlon, where training is so tough and demanding and an injury is always just one small mistake away, you need to be able to take the hits. There's going to be bad days and disappointment and bad competitions and injuries, and you need to be able to take those hits and keep moving forward without losing enthusiasm. And for me, I will take all those hits as long as I can be myself on the track, and as long as I feel that outside of the track my life isn't too constricted. And I'll admit that this balance isn't easy to find. It took me until my cancer diagnosis for me to say, okay, my mental well-being, my general well-being is my number one priority. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to put your head down and work hard for a while. I'm saying that if you think you can go years neglecting what you need, years neglecting your own well-being, you are sorely mistaken, because there are no supplements and there are no stretches to fix a burnout or a breakdown. And as training ramped up, I was planning some interesting things. At the end of the month, I was going to go see my Irish physio, Star. And Star has single-handedly saved my career multiple times. And so I was very excited to go see him, to see what he had to say about the progression of my injury, and to get that confidence boost that he usually gives when he has been looking after you. But before that would happen, I still had 2 weeks of training to go through. And of course, I was doing all the events and I was still working on general strength and getting that hamstring stronger, but the main focuses were unchanged. Getting better at the sprints and improving the long jump. Second week of long jumping. I had my sprint session 2 days ago and I recovered fairly well, I think. So let's see if we can ramp it up a little bit. Maybe get to a solid approach, like 6 steps, or maybe an easy 8 step. And let's try to get over 6 meters or so. That would mean about a half a meter improvement over last week. So, at that rate of change, I would be clearly ready for Oregon to jump about a 12.5. No, let's just try and ramp up the intensity a little bit and make sure I don't trigger the knee, but just that I get some confidence. Because last week after that long jump session, I did feel my body really crash very hard. I guess maybe because of the tension I was holding when I was jumping, like the mental tension. It felt fine while I was jumping, but then afterwards I was in the car and I was just my whole body emptied out. So let's see if this week that feeling sort of disappears and I can get a bit more confident being on the runway again. Alright, right at the end of that sprint you could see I got excited, and the reason being that was the very first sprint where my knee didn't hold me back. And I know it was just one sprint, but at that point I was gonna take what I could get, and beggars can't be choosers. But I wish I could tell you that all the events were following a similar trajectory, that all of them were seeing the same kind of progress like sprints and long jump, but for shot put and discus, I was struggling so badly. I just couldn't get my technique right. I couldn't find the feeling that I had the year before, and especially discus was just a struggle. For the whole of March and April, I don't think I had a single good throw. And I'm going to show you a compilation. Excuse the language, but the frustration was real.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? Okay.
So by the end of April, I had put in quite a few good sessions, but now it was time to fly down to Ireland and get my checkup. And this might sound a bit weird, but I'm not flying down there for like a training camp. This is more of a treatment camp. I get about 3-4 treatments a day over there, and really that just takes all the energy out of you. So training wise, this whole week was very calm. I had a few small technical sessions and a few sessions to test out how the body was reacting, but that was about it. I was just focused on getting as much rest as I could, because like I said, these treatments really take it out of you. So I want to thank Star and everyone at the Rialta Clinic for making me feel at home and giving me the treatment that I needed. And so I flew back to South Africa with Star's stamp of approval. He said that my hamstring was doing good, but that I still needed a bit of work to get it strong enough for competition season. So the goal for the month of May was very, very clear. In order to keep the dream alive that I would be able to finish Decathlon at the World Championships, I really needed to ramp up intensity, because otherwise I would never survive the full load of a decathlon. And so I had 3 weeks left in South Africa, and these 3 weeks were going to be spent on running 3 full decathlon weeks. That means all the events in a single week, getting the intensity up as high as possible. And for those that have been paying attention, I haven't started pole vaulting yet, so that's about to get dropped in there as well. But to explain what a full decathlon week is, I'm going to let my brother do the talking, and then I will give you some additional insight into how these weeks felt for me.
Over the years, we really worked hard to find kind of the best training program that worked for Thomas. And at the moment, we're training 5 days a week, which leaves us enough rest, but also enough time to train all the events at least once a week. Normally we start on Monday, we start a week off, and it's really an explosive day. Monday is all about big muscle contractions, and we do events like the shot put, the high jump, accelerations, and some strength training.
Dus ja, je ziet dat ik die buitenste spanning niet 100% vind van mij. Goed, nog eentje. Dan
the fuck-ups aren't cops.
dat is het meeste dat ik kan doen in training.
Patrolling neighborhoods they're afraid of.
Tuesday is more of a technical day. We really focus on rhythm and on technique. We don't try to overdo it, and we specifically do the hurdles and the discus that day.
That was the first time that I was properly doing block starts, and the first few I took quite easy, but once I started pushing, I could feel the pressure on my hamstring, and it felt like I got gut punched. Just all the energy left my body, and the training session went nowhere. And after the hurdles, I went into discus, and those were probably the worst throws of my life. I was hardly getting to 38 meters. But frustrating as it was, that didn't really matter, because the goal of the week was to get through all the events, and that's what I was doing.
Wednesday is a big day. It's a sprints day. And for Thomas, we really combine short sprints and long sprints in one training session. And the reason why we do it is because sprint training asks so much recovery for Thomas that when we combine it, we can shorten our recovery. And it's a way to really work around all the work he needs to do for the decathlon and still be able to get everything into one weekly training program.
I'm not used to this anymore. That was the first sort of longer sprint I've done in 8 months. That just feels horrible. Does not feel nice.
Thursday is our recovery day. You won't find Thomas at the track then, but he might do some active recovery in the pool or with the physiotherapists. But the goal of that day is really to fully recover. Friday is another technical day. For Thomas at the moment, we really focus on the javelin throw. And that day we mostly finish off with some general strength exercises, kind of to recover from all the hard training we did at the beginning of the week.
Close. Fuck. Ah. Close.
On Saturday, Thomas is fully recovered of his sprint training on Wednesday, and we try to finish off the week strong. We focus on pole vault, and at the end of the training we do some tempo work for the 1500 meters.
Praying to the god of muscle memory right now that I don't die. Okay. First jump in 8 months, so let's do this. Was hardly a pole vault jump, but yeah, it was a jump, so I guess that's something we scratch off the list. I'm pole vaulting again. Hit it! No! Woo! Woo! Beauty of Decathlon is, as a reward for being able to pole vault again on the first try, you get to run some 300s and 500s and kill yourself on the track. So no room for a celebration just yet. The work continues as always. It's never done with Decathlon, so I'll have some cake and some coffee in the afternoon, but for now gotta go kill myself. So this is the end of the first week, like the more intense week, where we try to sort of get into more competition rhythm. So that means more intensity in all the events, which I'm not really used to yet. So the first few days this week I was very tired. I had trouble recovering even yesterday. I had javelin that took me half an hour to even start training. And then I noticed I wasn't throwing properly at all. There was just no power in there, no conviction. So I just did a lot of technical work. And then this morning I woke up and it was just completely different. I woke up straight away. I jumped in the pool, which by this point is very, very cold. And I could just feel I didn't care about stepping into the cold water. I stayed on the water for like 20 seconds, just taking in the cold, and just felt like a good start to the day. And I felt energized. And then when I got to pole vault, I straight away felt that I had it, that I would get through it. It's nice. It feels, or it gives me some confidence to feel that I'm having days like this where I am convicted about being on the track and getting back to full intensity, which is things that I've missed in the previous months and that I'm always sort of scared for in the build-up that I won't be able to find again. But today is giving me some hope that I can get these things together again.
Jeremy, call for me. Okay, as I go down, slowly, yeah. Slowly go down. You know, I think since the Olympics, I could feel the person's energy where in Africa, we would say mismoedig. He actually was down. He felt like drained. I was hoping that he would not give up, but I felt like he's just had enough. He's drained. Like I said to you once, somebody like that walk into your practice, you can immediately pick up the atmosphere, and it's not nice to hear the sessions didn't go well or he's not in a good state of mind. And then he arrived 2 weeks ago, and I could see there was a little spark, and all of a sudden he had a good session. And this last, I would say 4 sessions, I could see, hey, he's back again, which was nice. And especially Monday, where I treated him and he said, oh, it feels good.
That first week was tough, and even though not all events were great, that didn't really matter. What mattered was that I got through all the events, that I did all the work, and that my body reacted well. And for week 2, I tried to do the same, but my knee was bothering me a little bit more, so I had to adjust here and there. And then in week 3, I was able to push it again, and right at the end of the week, I was doing pole vault and I was struggling. My knee was bothering me again, and I just couldn't get proper jumps in. But I felt this resolve that I wanted to do a few jumps on competition poles. So every year I have this problem that I jump with smaller poles like you saw in my first training session, but then I have to transition to competition poles. And this is often a difficult transition to make in training because you need more energy, you need more speed, and the timing's a little bit different. And so I felt this resolve, I grabbed the poles, and even though it was a bit sketchy, I managed to do a few jumps. And I knew that with the limited time that I had to get ready for the World Championships, this was a really good move. And following that, I ran a 1500 meter time trial, running 2 times 800. I ran both of those at race pace, so that was a really good test. And then on Tuesday, the day before I was supposed to fly, I had gotten a rest day, but I kind of felt good and recovered, so I went out to the track and I did a discus session, and that was my first proper discus session since my injury, and I was getting close to like 45 meters again, and that was mentally a very, very big step. Because now I could fly back to Belgium with a lot more confidence that I would be ready for Worlds.
It's my last day in South Africa before I go back to Belgium, which means the season starts soon. So it's time for the most important training session of the year, and that is to have fun.
Kriebel, krabbel, niet zomaar. Pees nou over de zin ervan. Komma, binnen in mijn hoofd en kijk door mijn ogen. Ik zie het zo, hip-based, dat kan ik ook. De kunst is niet goedkoop, super duur. €1000 voor een uur, zie je niet goed. En je kop of zo, hip-based, een rappertje van dat niveau. Yes van knokken, heist en crisseer, alles van zijn pa cadeau. Zeg nog een keer, ik was afgeleid. Ik heb niet echt gehoord wat je zei. Het was waarschijnlijk ook niet echt belangrijk. En hip-based over hedendaagse kunst. Amai, dat is mislukt. Maar de kunst is expres per ongeluk. Het is de leer van het geduld. Het glas tot aan de rand gevuld. De koffiekring op de krant. De stem die uit je kelen brult. Het is de bult als je tegen de lamp loopt. Maar morsen is pas morsen als je het afdroogt. Want morsen is het belangrijkste ooit. Ik wil niet dat je gevoelloos al mijn kleren in de was gooit.